Hey, how's it going? Coach D here from All Out Athletes. And you have reached the All Out
It's
Athletes.
over right now.
Are you
I
taking
got
it
a
over?
call from one of my former students the other day, and he said, "I've been watching your podcast with Coach D. I thought you were a wrestler and a wrestling coach. How come you never talk about wrestling? You haven't talked about wrestling once. You just talk about basketball. You talk about baseball. You talk about football. How about wrestling, Coach D? If you want to add in, I know you know nothing about. Oh well, you know about that other type of wrestling, steel amateur wrestling." So there is one hero in American wrestling. His name is Dan Gable, two-time NCAA champ, Olympic champion, and the winningest wrestling coach in the history of the world. So Gable said this, in wrestling, there are three periods, okay? First period, after the first period, the most skilled wrestler is going to be winning. After the second period, the wrestler who's in the best shape is going to be winning. And after the third period, the wrestler with the most heart is going to be winning. So they used to be at carnivals. They don't do this anymore, but they used to be at carnivals. This is the truth. You could be able to pay money and wrestle a trained bear, a huge bear. So imagine a human being wrestling a bear. And so when do you quit? When do you quit wrestling the bear? You don't quit when you're tired. You quit when the bear's tired. You don't quit when you're tired. You quit when the bear is tired. So what you have to do in wrestling, and the truth of the matter is we're all wrestlers. We're all wrestling with our fears. We're all wrestling with our emotions. We're all wrestling our thoughts, and we're all wrestling with opponents. And you have to keep on keeping on. You have to keep going until. So Dan Gable, in 1966, he decided that he was going to win the 1972 gold medal in wrestling. He worked out once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes three times a day. He lost tons of weight, and I do mean tons. I'm not just saying that metaphorically. And Gable won the Olympic gold medal in 1972, but he didn't just win the gold medal. Nobody scored a point on him. Nobody scored even 1 point on him in the whole Olympic tournament, which is the most amazing thing. So today's message is specially dedicated to wrestling and wrestlers, and of course, the great Dan Gable. And you got to, number one, in the first period, the most skilled wrestler is going to win. In the second period, the wrestler who's in the best shape is going to win. In the third period, the wrestler with the most heart is. So getting back to basketball, that other sport, you ever notice in basketball, and especially college basketball, college football, at the beginning of the game, everybody's really excited, the cheerleaders, pom-poms, everybody's jumping up and down. And then what happens in the fourth quarter? It's a whole different thing. You have to have that first quarter energy at the end of the fourth quarter. That's when you really need it. That's when games are decided. Okay, sorry, Coach D. I just had to say a few things about wrestling.
No, I love it. I love it. But I know one thing about him. He
What?
was that in our first podcast, we talked about being an extreme athlete, extreme energy, extreme focus. He said he would work out until he passed out. He would try and work out until he passed out, but he never passed out.
Yeah.
He just kept working out. And that's the thing is when we, as you were talking about, Doc, in the fourth quarter, maybe down 20, even in wrestling, if you're down so many points, I'm never going to come back. When we start to get discouraged and we feel defeated, that's when our enthusiasm starts to drop. And a great Ralph Waldo said, you have to go from one failure to the other without the loss of enthusiasm. Dan Gable never lost enthusiasm. Matter of fact, if he ever made a mistake, it ignited his enthusiasm because he knew he can't make up for what happened. He could only get back and go forward and get. And as you said, Doc, he didn't lose any points. The energy and enthusiasm you have to win the next play, to win the next battle. What he did a minute ago, 10 seconds ago, 30 seconds ago meant absolutely nothing except for what was right in front of him next. What's coming next? He didn't live on his past successes. What's next? I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. And he was never satisfied. He enjoyed it, but he kept moving forward and up and up and up and up so far until he won that Olympic gold medal without losing a point.
Well, you're right on. And Dan Gable never lost the match in college until his very last match. His very last match, he lost to this guy, Larry Owings. And, he was devastated. But he said that loss made him a better wrestler. That loss made him a better wrestler because he had to reevaluate. So this message is especially for Dan Gable and all, even if you're not a wrestler, I hope you could have the heart of a Dan Gable.
And that's the most important thing in any sport or anything that you do that you're passionate about. Can you go from one loss, as you said, Doc, he lost once, and that didn't bring him down. That ignited him to the next level. So can you go from one failure to the next? Maybe you won't have another failure. Some athletes have to fail 20 times before they say, that's it. I'm going to do something about it now. Well, maybe it only takes one. It only took Dan Gable once. And he said, I don't ever want to feel that way again. And that ignited, what did that ignite? His training. It ignited his training. He never wanted to feel that way again. Why? He kept that loss with him and said, that's not happening again. The 10 most powerful two-letter words. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. And it's all up to you.
Coach D, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for letting me do a message about wrestling. I want to thank you for not mentioning Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And
See everybody.
John Cena, wherever you are, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you, John Cena.
It's to me, it is up to me. And it's all up to you. It's up to the energy and enthusiasm that you bring. We don't want this to be thought-provoking. A lot of people are saying, oh, that was great. That was fun. No, we want it to be change-provoking. We joke around on here, but the bottom line is we want to be change-provoking coaches so you can be changed athletes. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Doc.